Hello and welcome to Talkin Baseball. We're going to give you the roadmap for the rest of free agency. Roki, Bregman, Alonso, Santander. Let's talk ball. Profar, Flaherty, Scherzer, full pension Piv.
I don't have a ball or a bat.
Pivetta.
I think I got a knockoff in before.
Hello and welcome to Talkin Baseball, presented to you by SeatGeek. Code Talkin25. New year, new me. Jake Storielli, Trevor Plouffe, Rob Scirocco. How about that? Real names, real ball talk today, because I think that's where we're at. It's January 13th. It's a month till pitchers and catchers. There's like a month of football left. I mean, Trev, I hate to put that on you right now because you're dealing with life right now. But I think it's going to be a fun, like, hey, I missed an episode or two over the holidays. Like, oh yeah, they're gone. Oh, they signed that guy, so they're not going to sign this guy. We're going to walk you through the remaining big pieces of free agency and talk about how we think those can play out. And hopefully that'll spark something in you or your guys' team and be like, oh yeah, or maybe if he signs there, maybe we go trade for that guy. I'll tell you who I'm not trading. Trevor Plouffe, live from Arizona.
Yeah, Poppy. Yeah, we got out of L.A. Maybe we all could spark something today. Fires forced me out, air quality, all those things. We decided to come out here with the family. Obviously, Rams game tonight, which is going to be a lot of fun. But I'm happy to be back in the lab with you because I took last episode off. The circumstances were just not good for us. And Jolly filled in, so thank you, Jolly. But yeah, I mean, I always like to do recap episodes like this where we kind of, like you said, we see, all right, who's left, what teams need them, and what are the realistic landing spots for these guys. Because I think for some of them, Jake, there's only like a couple teams. We mentioned earlier before the show, like the pitchers, yeah, you can fit a pitcher on any roster, but some of these guys, like a Pete Alonso, there's only a few teams that can really, number one, kind of like afford what he's looking for, and number two, have like the roster flexibility for him. So I can't wait to get into this. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah, Alonso, I talk myself in every direction because timing is everything in life. And he might have been at the wrong time, but let's talk about it in Trev. Yeah, man, I talked to you Wednesday morning, and I talk everything in my Jake voice, which is just who I am, and people are kind of shocked by that sometimes. But it was you and Palmer on the road hunting for gas. It was like, and at the time didn't know the significance of everything going on in LA, and I don't think anyone did on Wednesday morning. And then to see everything that's gone down and some of the scenes, it's insane, man. So I know you guys, house is good and stuff, but having to shuffle around and how many people in the LA area and everything, crazy, man. Crazy.
It's been wild. Obviously, like, you have to thank the firefighters and all the first responders. That we had a fire flare behind our house. It happened very quickly. We were on our way to visit Olivia's grandpa. And all of a sudden, I looked like in the direction of our house, and there's a huge plume of smoke that wasn't there 2 minutes before. We had to rush back. Palmer was at home. We had to rush back, get her. But they put that fire out very quickly. Like, the aerial assault is like insane.
Yeah.
But they hadn't been able to do that the first couple of days because the winds were so strong. But as the winds have died down, these guys are they're heroes, man.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to see what they do. So, yeah, luckily our house is okay right now. But it's been, I know, a grueling like week for these guys, and hopefully the coming days it'll kind of calm down, man.
Yeah. I from Wednesday recording this to Thursday, we were doing warehouse stuff. I think like the first time I was like settled in on the couch going into my social media was Thursday night, and that's when I saw some of the images, and it's like, oh my God, like this is
Literally
LA.
entire like, not just neighborhoods,
Communities.
but yeah, it's I know several people who've lost their house,
Right.
and you could talk about what's going on in the insurance companies in California as
Okay.
well, but we're not going to get
Let's
there.
finish with that.
Let's get some ball.
Close
Let's get
with
some
that.
ball.
Let's talk some ball. That's kind of our lane, and maybe we can be a distraction for some people. Because I think we settled on the 3 headliners left are Bregman, Alonso, and Roki, which that's kind of a whole different deal. Let's get into all of it because, I mean, dude, Santander, like, he should be a headliner. Our guy Jack Flaherty, there's a lot of bodies still out there. And you could go see them play next year with SeatGeek. Not sure where yet, but they're going to be somewhere. And if you're using SeatGeek, you should be using code TALKIN2025 for 10% off tickets on SeatGeek. It's the #1 rated ticketing app. 70,000 events on SeatGeek. Concerts, sports, festivals. You can go NFL playoffs, baseball games, NBA, NHL, not to mention a ton of concerts, and basically anything that has seats. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. Green, good. Red, bad. Yep. And you know we came through for you guys. You can use code TALKIN2025. 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. 10% off any tickets. TALKIN2025 with SeatGeek. Coach, you know what? I think Bregman's going to get the biggest price tag, but I want to let's do Alonso first, just because I do think this one is a little more intricate, if that's the right word, because I was a big Pete is going to hit free agency and things are going to work out. Like, you can basically pencil him in for 35 homers. He hit 34 last year, but a couple big postseason ones at the end that could boost the stock a little bit. That I just thought a GM looking at free agency and their lineup and how many homers they want to hit this year, that Pete Alonso, that's a win you can't normally find in free agency. But I think he might have gotten hurt by the first base market. I just want to list these names off quick that happened, Trev. Christian Walker, Josh Naylor trade, Carlos Santana, Nathaniel Lowe trade, Josh Bell signing, Jake Berger trade, Paul Goldschmidt signing. So with that, supply and demand, which we talk about a lot on these episodes, it's kind of our strength. But Pete's out there and he's still linked to the Mets, but they're supposedly not hitting his money marks. And there's a couple other teams linked, but nothing strong. That I guess when you look at Pete, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I think the qualifying offers hurt Pete a lot. That's what I'm thinking. Because he, for the teams that are in on him, I believe most of those teams are facing the stiffest penalties, which is 2nd and 5th draft picks coming up in 2025, plus $1 million in pool money, international pool money. So, I mean, these are things that teams really covet. And so you're losing those things. And, Pete with Boris is asking for kind of like top dollar. He wants to set that first baseman mark, which I believe is 31.1 after Miguel Cabrera got 31 million years ago. Really, to me, like we mentioned in the open, Pete has a couple teams that are truly in play. I think it's the Mets. I don't think the Mariners are truly in play.
Right.
So really, it's like Mets, maybe the Giants can come back into the fold here and make an offer. But again, I think they don't want to give up what they'd have to give up because of the qualifying offer. So there has been some talks about Pete willing to do some sort of 3-year deal with the opt-out. It's kind of like what's become the Boris special over the last couple of years. And tell me if I'm wrong. I think if you've seen this as well, that offer is only available to the Mets for a limited time only. Mets, you get to take me, it's fine. I mean, look, that's where he's most comfortable, and that's where I think he ultimately wants to be back there, but also wanted to chase free agency and chase the years and dollar amount. That's not there anymore. I don't mind this move saying, "Hey, Mets, this is your chance to do it." There's a lot of deferrals apparently in that offer as well, which we're all getting used to. So again, I think it has to be Mets at this point, and they have the upper hand. That's what's tough for
Right.
Pete is like, if you're coming at me saying, "Hey, you have this deal, only you," that's to me shows weakness. And the Mets The Mets know that.
Right. You need something to leverage against, and it seems like Pete doesn't have that. Like, yes, the Mariners are on this sheet, but I think that's just hope. Like, that's not. I don't think
just
that's
good
elite.
ball is what it is,
right.
but I don't think that's happening.
It's just like, wait, couldn't you guys use the 40 homers? Help Julio, help Cal. Randy's there. People forget that. And yeah, I guess the Giants are on here, which, hey, if I'm Pete, I would love if they were genuinely involved. Their DH spot is open as of now, and I don't know if Lamont Wade still has any flexibility, but again, the Giants could use a Pete Alonso. Every team could use a Pete Alonso. It's just coming to the table for that 30 mil, 25 mil, whatever it is, and that number is going to vary on the years. That it feels like Mets. And yeah, the 3-year deal with the opt-outs, I'm interested to see the next move. I remember we did it last year. Bellinger got one of those, and Matt Chapman. Snell, and we had the Jambino on, and Jimmy was real ruffled, and I was like, Jim, what's okay, interested, like what? And he had a great point from the fan perspective. He's like, dude, this sucks. If I'm a Cubs fan and I want to get my Bellinger jersey, like there's no promise he'll be on the team tomorrow. He's not. He's on our Yankees. How about that?
Yes.
Matty Chapman, interesting, signed with the Giants and then was great, and he got the extension. So it's like, okay, I think you could check that box and be like, that contract worked. Snell, that contract worked. Now he switched teams, so again, the Jersey fan side of it, but he ended up getting a big deal, and now Dodger fans, they got a lot of jerseys they can choose from. I mean, a lot of big holidays for Dodger families for buying jerseys. My goodness. That if you're Pete, like the perk of that 3-year opt-out deal, if you have one good year in 3 years, which Pete plays every day, and he's got natural power that I'd like to think it would happen, then you're going to get the next contract. So it sucks that it's not easier, but especially if he wants to be in New York, and I'd have to assume the Mets would be okay offering that, because they brought in Soto. Like, you still need to boost it, baby. Shout out Mikey Greenberg. That I think it's still the fit there.
I have a question that I should know the answer to, but that's why we have super producer Robbie Sirocco here. If the Mets sign him back, are they subject to the draft and pool money? They're not.
No, because
that's a huge bonus.
Yeah, they were the qualifying. So yeah,
that's a huge bonus.
If you're on that, and that's the only team he's offering the special deal for.
I guess my question then is, why wouldn't the Mets pull the trigger on the 3-year deal? That seems very logical for them. Yes, I believe it puts them over like the highest tax threshold, the competitive balance tax threshold, but Steve Cohen hasn't really cared about that in his tenure. So
I think
I think he likes it.
I think it's just negotiating against themselves.
Yeah, I mean, they could go back. This is probably my thought process on the whole thing. They could go back and say, okay, thank you for offering us this 3-year deal. That's nice that it's only us. Thank you very much. How about we do a 2-year deal, or, let's bring the AAV down a little bit. I'm sure they're working through that. And the more and more I think about it, why would a team suffer those penalties and then say, well, if he has a good year, he's going to leave? And so we got one good year of Pete, but we give up our third pick or our second and our fifth pick, depending on the team. It doesn't make sense for a team to do that. So now I'm convinced that Pete's going back to the Mets.
Yeah, unless a team, mystery team, always fun this time of year. It feels like Mets, and it makes sense for a lot of parties. And yeah, my best assumption at this point would be Boris and Alonso are saying, all right, let's do 3 years, opt out each year, 31.2 mil to set the record. And I would guess the Mets are saying 3 years, opt out every year, 25 mil. And the answer is probably somewhere in the middle, but I don't.
And defer.
defer. Why not?
Everyone knows that. Yeah.
That's just
I think
what we
that's the
do now.
leverage the Mets would have would be to say, okay, like if you're really stuck on that AAV, then let's push it down the road a little bit.
Yeah, get it.
Okay, he's going to the Mets, people.
2042. Get that future Bitcoin. Hey, go. Someone come out of the woodwork. Maybe
Steve Cohen has a bunch of Bitcoin. He could just flip one to Pete here and there.
Just comment below Steve Cohen's Bitcoin if anyone's got the
I
information.
think you can look that up. Whatever.
Oh boy,
somebody do that.
Let's jump over to Breggy, your guy,
Mm-hmm.
and I did get a half laugh, half sad. He posted on Instagram this weekend. Just some workout photos. Like, Breggy, get it.
That's right.
I made the mistake of going into the comments. And my God, you just forget that the internet's free reign, and it's like Blue Jay fans begging him to come to Toronto. Like I said, I think his wife replied to the Instagram, and it was like Blue Jay fans being like, "You guys should really consider Toronto. It's a great place to live." And it was actually it was clean, so I was like, "Okay, this is good."
I like that.
That's kind of good internet. It's believed the top two contenders for Bregman are the Boston Red Sox and the Detroit Tigers. Wow, Cora and Hinch there. And again, things got hot during winter meetings that it really felt like Bregman was going to happen, and then it didn't. There's some rumors that the Red Sox front office isn't as eager as maybe Cora is. Detroit has never fully made sense to me, but I'm pleasant to be wrong about it. That's not a phrase.
No.
And then linked teams. I'm seeing Blue Jays. I'm seeing Mariners. Phillies originally were linked, as were the Yanks. It seems like the Yanks are fading out. I guess when it comes to your guy Breggy, what are you seeing in the tea leaves, Coach?
Okay, I've done a little bit of more of a deep dive into some of the teams. Originally I picked out the Detroit Tigers for him. That was during our free agent draft. I still think it makes sense. It's interesting, like the teams you mentioned, the Tigers and the Red Sox. Obviously, there's a link for Bregman there. It's Cora and Hinch. They understand what kind of influence this guy brings into a clubhouse. Obviously, they've been around him a lot, and they've seen him win. They've seen him have incredibly successful years. What was his best year was 18 or 19, put up a monster year. So that all makes sense to me. The Tigers thing, I think the reason I chose that was the Hinch factor, and also it's a young team. They don't really have anybody settled in that infield. They have a couple guys who they believe in, but look, it's the major leagues, dude. You got to go do it. So Bregman has done it, will do it. He can move. I think he can move around, and for that reason, I'm starting to like a Red Sox fit for him more than a Tigers fit. Um, Cora had been mentioned. I think this was also during the winter meetings, or maybe it was some Red Sox fest. But he was talking about, well, this guy when he came up, Cora said, I thought he was going to be a Gold Glove second baseman. It's just and look, if you look at Bregman, he looks like a second. That's just like the body type is there, kind of the way he moves, turned into a Gold Glove third baseman, all these things, but you could bring Bregman into that Red Sox infield and do a bunch of different things. If you wanted to keep Rafi at third base and Casas at first base, put Bregman at second base, then you're looking at that infield, Jake.
Mm.
Casas,
Mm.
Bregman,
Mm.
our guy T Story back and healthy at shortstop. Devers at third. You're talking about potentially one of the better infields in all of baseball. So as much as the Tigers made sense to me maybe early on in the offseason, the more and more I'm looking at it, I'm like, I think the Red Sox are very close and maybe one move away from being like a serious, serious threat to win the World Series. Like
I agree.
they have a roster built up. If they bring in Bregman and maybe, I mean, they don't need to go after a Tanner Scott. That would be amazing. If they did those two moves, if they brought in Bregman and Tanner Scott, which I know that's a lot because these are two prized free agents. We're talking about one of, if not the best rosters in baseball.
At least
in the American League.
At least in the American League. The American League is it's kind of jarringly thin when you look around. Like the Yanks have some flaws. Texas Ranger hype train is going to pick up. Let's see how Houston finishes out.
Sure.
But the Red Sox are really good, and I do think they're the number one fit financially for the lineup, the defense. Like, Trev, I mean, the thing that blows my mind right now, the top of their lineup is Duran, Devers, Casas. That's lefty, lefty, lefty. So, I mean, give me Breggy in the 2-hole, Breggy in the 3-hole, because right now in the
pull hitter,
right now in their Fangraphs projected lineup, 5 of their first 6 batters would be lefty, and the only righty is our guy Trevor Story, who, hey, I'm rooting for, kind of. Except if it's Yankees Red Sox, then it's just like, all right.
You're rooting for him. Stop it.
Like 1 for 4.
He came on our show. It was so nice.
1 for 3 with a walk. That's fine. Okay. But like, yeah, they need another righty in the lineup to break up those lefties. Bregman is perfect for Fenway. And like, I guess depending what other teams are out there, and if it was the Tigers and let's say the Mariners are in, the Mariners have seen a ton of Bregman and they're like, hey, this is what we want to third base, lock in, change the tone of the franchise a little bit. Bregman, we've talked about like the borderline Hall of Fame stuff a little bit. He goes to Boston. I mean, maybe it's 5 more homers a year. Maybe that batting average is boosted a couple points. That if the money is in the same ballpark, you've also got a franchise that has more recent success of winning. Like, a lot of the arrows would point to Boston that, I guess for me, I don't know, man. I want to see, does Philly come back and play? Like, do we see an Alec Bohm?
Love that.
Like, I think that's, for me, that makes more sense than Seattle or Detroit in my head. Like, okay, Alec Bohm is traded to the Royals for whatever team it may be, and then it's like, oh, shoot. The Phillies now third base. The defense isn't a question mark anymore. Does Bregman not fit in with all those alphas? Like, I would lean Boston and Philly before I think any other team.
I mean, Philly would just corner their market on hot white guys. That's what they're trying to do. That's what the Phillies have done. What are we doing there?
People are calling
Come on, Dombrowski.
People are calling that the Plouffe effect. I don't know what that.
Yes.
I don't know what that is.
Like, I like that. Okay.
Story Borealis.
I love the Phillies fit. It would require a move, and I think what's probably making Breslow a little hesitant in Boston is like they got a couple guys in the upper level minor leagues that are infielders, and the Story contract runs through 27, I believe.
Yeah.
So like, they would have to, if they do sign Bregman, it's not just as simple as plugging him in at second base. It's like, okay, well, what do we do with those guys? And hey, you could trade them.
Right.
But, people get so scared to trade their prospects. I get it. But I think even with that being said, I want him to go to the Tigers and for a stupid reason, because I picked him in the free agent draft for us.
Important.
That'd be nice for me. It's really important. Best fit right now, I think, is the Red Sox.
Man, that Story contract, he needs to put something up there. And then, yeah, the prospect thing, I'm laughing at your depth speech earlier that it's like, okay, maybe, or maybe just sign Bregman and keep those guys. And one of them pans out and one of them might not, and then you're okay. So, let's see with that. I do, the one dark horse team, your Washington Nationals. Right now, third base is currently listed as your guy Jose Tena, which, hey, Tena Hive raise up. I don't know. It would be like they're kind of the lurking team in this free agency offseason in league. They've had big budget before. The reset seems to happen that
Number one overall draft pick this year.
Right.
They won the offseason, as I pointed out.
I mean, like like Nathaniel Lowe, Luis Garcia, CJ Abrams, Breggy. That's, I don't know, with Dylan Cruz, James Wood, and Jacob Young in the outfit. I don't know. You start you would start looking at the Nats differently. So, I would want a little smoke before the fire there, but we will see.
Are you saying Red Sox? That's your
Um,
team?
if I had to, yeah, I guess if I was betting my hard-earned money, um, yeah, Red Sox right now I think would be the odds-on.
Okay. I think I'm there as well. I think I'm there with you.
Houston and Boston. That's
Houston, I wanted him I think that was where I wanted him to stay in Houston. Just
right.
makes sense, but
Well, and I think that's what if you're someone tuning into this episode and you've missed a chunk of the offseason, Houston, they
they offered him
they offered him. He turned it down, and he's trying to beat that number.
6 years, 150 something, I think it was.
Yeah. Yeah, right in there. But they traded for Isaac Paredes, and they signed Christian Walker. So, like, the corners are full. Yeah. So that's kind of why I really want to do this exercise, because it's like Houston, it's not happening.
No, they made the decision. They did.
And that's how they operate, man. Trev, I want to talk about, if we needed people to come back from a commercial, the hook would be like, maybe the most powerful free agent, Roki Sasaki. Because the guy you might be getting for the price tag and the effect it'll have. And Roki Sasaki Talk is brought to you by Rhone. Today's episode is sponsored by Rhone. Starchy, stiff workwear is not optimal when you need to endure your busiest, most important days. With their commuter collection, your clothing looks professional, performs like activewear, and feels like total comfort. Wanting to look good without having to think about it. Yes. A layerable, durable, refined wardrobe that is easy to style and exudes confidence effortlessly in a wide range of social and professional events. Treated with Gold Fusion anti-odor technology. Yes, more wears between washes. You'll feel fresh and clean all day long. It's easy to wash. Rhone's pants in the machine. They come out wrinkle-free every time. The commuter collection can get you through any workday and straight into whatever comes next. Head to Rhone.com/baseball. Use promo code BASEBALL to save 20% off your entire order. 20% off your entire order when you head to Rhone, RHONE.com/baseball, and use code BASEBALL. It's time to embody your most confident self, sure. All right, Coach, let's talk a little Roki Sasaki, because we are in it. I believe his window to sign starts midnight Tuesday. I'm never good at saying that, but the 15th he is eligible to sign, and that opens up an 8-day window. So, like, Roki Sasaki is going to happen. We're in a little bit of the dead period for baseball as we build up to spring training, and a lot of the offseason has moved on. But this one is going to change a team's outlook for this year and the next 5 years, because you're getting a top flight starter. Like, people, if it was an open free agency, people believe he would get what Yamamoto got, which was $300 million or close, or maybe more than that, because he's younger, and I think no offense to my guy Yamamoto, but he looks the part a little more. He's a big guy. He pumps heat. That Roki's going to change a team's complete outlook. That we've done some Talkin Yank stuff on it, and it's like, the Yankees would trade away 2 starting pitchers if they sign this guy and go get needs elsewhere. So wherever this guy lands, it's going to significantly impact wherever he signs. And I don't know. I feel like everyone's got Dodgers on the brain, and maybe that's going to be the answer, and we're all going to feel foolish in a little bit. But also they have 2 rotations basically. So I don't. What do you got?
I think we're all a little brainwashed now about guys going to LA and wanting to kind of like be on that hype train. It is special there. We talk about it all the time. We get people say, I think I'm a Dodger fan because we talk about the Dodgers. We have to talk about the Dodgers.
Right.
Look at what they're doing right now. I don't think he actually ends up in LA. He is very interesting to me. The whole, you're able to sign him for your international pool money. So it's going to be anywhere from like $5 million to $7 million, something like that. And then he just is a regular Joe Schmo in your system. Like, you pay him league minimum, and then he goes through arbitration. That's crazy to me. Like, that
Right.
is, like you said, that changes the direction of a franchise, especially because of his talent and what he brings. You're right. Like, it's like, if you do sign him, it opens up the board to all these other different moves because he's a cheap, controllable asset, 23-year-old guy that's going to be at the top of your rotation. You can talk about Bregman, you can talk about Alonso, you can talk even about Juan Soto. Bang for buck, this is the best free agent on the market this year. If he's able to replicate what he's done in Japan, which I think the numbers will show, the data, excuse me, will show that like his stuff's going to play in Major League Baseball. So the more and more I think about his situation, and it's a lot has been said about it. He's met with a bunch of teams. I think he's met with. I'm looking right now at the Dodgers, the Padres, the Cubs, the Yankees, the Mets, the Rangers, the Giants. I think he just met with the Blue Jays. Like, he's taken his tour, which is
Yeah.
nice. He should. The more and more I get into it, it's where what makes sense marketing wise, I think, is going to come into play here. I do believe he wants to go somewhere where he's gonna win. That just makes sense. You wanna be on a winning ball club, you wanna have that because that helps with your marketing and your brand and all these things. Dodgers, I think, are too crowded. I really do. Too crowded in the rotation, and, I don't want people to take this the wrong way, and I don't think it should be taken the wrong way, but, like, they have 2 Japanese guys who are kinda like they already have their endorsement deals. There was just an article talking about how Shohei brought in 70 mil for the Dodgers plus whatever he got. Like, they have Japanese stars, so it kind of like takes away from Roki a little bit. The two places that I kind of, I mean, there's more than two places, but like the Padres make a lot of sense to me. There's been a lot of talk about how he really looks up to Yu Darvish, and Yu Darvish is kind of like one of like the godfathers of
Right.
Japanese pitchers, and so that makes a lot of sense. Plus, it's San Diego. They have a great team. That's a
Right.
really fun team. Nick Punto just got added to the coaching staff. That's
Really?
could be a difference
Roki's
maker.
guy, Nick Punto.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if is that going to be what he makes him make the decision? I don't know. The Yankees make a lot of sense for him too. That's marketing, that's branding. You go to the Yankees, like, you are going to receive substantial deals off of the field because of franchise. So before we started the show, we talked about how pitchers fit anywhere. He fits anywhere. It truly is his decision. Any team can afford him. This is not like teams are out because they can't pony up the dollars.
Right.
Every team can pony up the dollars for this guy. That's why it's such a fascinating, you know, uh, free agent play here. Um, it's literally up to him, and he can choose anywhere. Like, Pete Alonso can't go to, I don't know. I mean, I guess he could go anywhere, but seeking the dollar amounts that he
Right.
wants, he can't go to the Oakland A's. He can't go to my Minnesota Twins. He
Mm.
can't. Sorry. Um, Roki Sasaki could go literally anywhere and say, "I want to sign," and they'd say yes. So the Padres make a lot of sense to me. Yankees make a lot of sense to me, but literally anyone could use this guy. It's this is not one I think that anyone can really predict.
Yeah, I think for anyone
Also,
that's nothing.
you're not losing anything. Like, this is a completely different type of free agent.
Couple quick notes because there might be some baseball baseball nerds that might call us out a little bit. Like, you're using your international signing money for a year. So again, like Rob was telling us, like the Dodgers supposedly already lost international free agent they were going to sign to the Pirates. Like, you're going to use all of that money because Roki's going to take it because he's already like a bona fide professional. So, okay, you're going to lose out on two 16-year-old prospects. So, Trev, I know you don't care, but people will say that. And then to win the sports nerds back, there's a fun conversation among sports that's like, do they need drafts? And And it's like, hey, if kids could just decide where they signed and maybe there was some limits on it or maybe there wasn't, like, the top quarterback out of college every year. If there was no draft, and teams could just throw money at him. Again, this is very different circumstance, but part of that, what makes it cool for me is Roki supposedly is saying, he has a very long-term view on this, which he wants to join a team that their pitching development is proven. Because, like you said, if he waited 2 more years, he would have hit free agency like Yamamoto and get 300, 400, who knows how much money. That he still very much wants that money, but it's going to take a couple more years. And the other side of it is Shohei did this, and when he hit free agency, we know what he did. So he's looking for a team with a pitching development, and we know how advanced that has come, not only just the pitching coach, but throughout an organization in the lab, that's how he's viewing it. He wants to get better and improved when he does hit free agency at 28, 29, whatever it would be, that he is going to be a better player and hit top dollar. That if the Padres are out, which, Trev, I'm never going to rule them out because of,
why would they be out?
The Dodgers, excuse me.
Did I
Dodgers.
say
The Padres?
Okay, yeah.
If the Dodgers are out, which I'm not going to rule them out just because of everything we've seen from them recently. If the Dodgers are out, it's so wide open to me. Because, okay, like you said with the Dodgers, maybe it's a minus that those guys are there. Maybe it's a plus. You got 2 travel buddies that speak the language and are going through the same experience as you. Maybe all those Japanese brands that are marketing an advertisement, maybe they've got a Roki fund there. It's a rising tides raise all ships. That would be the other side of the argument.
Nice.
Thank you. If not, the Padres seem like the leader, but with what's going on with their ownership stuff right now, if I'm Roki, I would be concerned about that. I think that's more than fair.
But here's the thing about the Padres, though. All those guys are locked up. They're not going anywhere. So
right. It's true. And
maybe they can't add additional free agents, I guess. That would be the concern if ownership said, hey, we're not spending any more money. They already spent that money.
Right.
There's no givebacks.
That's already happening.
Yes, it's already happened.
The Yankees haven't signed a Japanese international free agent since Masahiro Tanaka, 2014. Yeah, so the New York Yankees, Matsui, if he wants that, and again, he could not, and I'd kind of be okay with it. That'd be a lot of pressure to be the next guy, and you're making minimum with all these expectations. Hey, if you crush it, man, I promise you'll have the world at your fingertips. And then every other team, and the other thing that's in my head, Sugano, who signed with the Orioles this free agency, he said he signed there because he hit it off with their pitching crew.
They had a conversation. They were just talking ball. He liked it.
So for the other teams involved in this, Texas Rangers, Toronto Blue Jays, Giant, who knows if the coasts are involved here? Does he like Chicago?
Maybe he's a Midwest guy.
Imanaga, Seiya Suzuki. So that's where, if it's not the Dodgers, which it very well could be, and you'll see me just a little sad on that episode of Talkin' Baseball, just being honest. It's wide open, and I think that's really, really exciting for whoever gets this cat.
And it's gonna happen soon. We're gonna find out where he goes
in
soon.
The next week. Done.
I don't think the Dodgers sign him. I don't. Maybe
either,
I'll come back to. Maybe this will be on the hype video for the 2025 World Series.
It will be, bro. I've seen it. I've seen it too many times now.
My favorite landing spot is San Diego. I'm envisioning. I believe right now that's the best rivalry in baseball, and you can call it a rivalry, whatever you want to call it. It's the best matchup of baseball right now is Padres Dodgers because they genuinely do not like each other, and that's what I like in rivalries. I don't want the history to me is great. You need to have that a little bit. It's what's happening currently on the field. These teams don't like each other. I think they match up really well against each other. And to think about Roki Sasaki having to face Shohei or Yamamoto It's like you're writing a script. It's a beautiful thing. That's straight entertainment value. So I want him to go there. Padres fans, you're welcome. I'm willing him to go to your team. But again, like you said, he could go literally anywhere. Any team would say, we're fine with giving our pool money to you.
Yes. Yes.
Because like any team. I don't think that matters at all to any team. I get it. There's been some massive hits. Some of the best players in all of baseball of all time come from that. International pool money, you give a guy $3 million and he becomes Juan Soto, whatever it is. That's a chance that you take. It's not a high percentage. Roki Sasaki is a high percentage play.
He's already there.
The highest percentage play.
He's what your big.
So take that data, people.
He's what your wildest dreams would be. Man, San Diego, for the weird, bizarre offseason they're having, how huge of a lift that would be.
It is a weird. We tried to. Did you guys get into that last episode a little bit?
Not really, man, because I don't know where to land the plane there. I'll be honest.
And we can't have Ryan Cohen come on here. We can't let him near a mic.
It'll be like sad but oddly happy. Like he'll be talking really upbeat, but just super sad.
You just encapsulated him very well.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of where he's at with this off season. That would be massive. It's gonna be massive wherever he goes, and like you said, I'm also excited for the ripple effect. Like if you sign Roki, I know we've been making our jokes about depth, but that might allow you to trade another starting pitcher for that third base spot that's open for you, or whatever your need is. That Roki, the Roki ripple, as I've been calling it. That's gonna be real. Trev, let's I think there's only I was gonna say there's only pitchers remaining. We'll go a little tighter on these rest of the on the rest of these guys. And the pitching is really hard because every team needs pitching. And I could tell you, everyone needs a little DraftKings, especially football fans. It's playoff time. Playoffs. We got some exciting games to look forward to, and you can get in on all the playoff action right now with our partners at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, they're offering all new customers $200 in bonus bets instantly after betting just $5 when you use code TALKIN. Love the thrill of live betting. DraftKings has you covered. Live betting on in-progress games as they happen, making the game that much more exciting. They also offer a bunch of boosts and things like that. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code TALKIN. Bet just $5 on any wager and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's code TALKIN only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Trev, I was about to say there's no more big-time hitters I want to talk about, but that was a complete lie. Because I'm looking at Ha-Seong Kim, which was a sexy name before this free agency, because I was like, okay, shortstop available. He's got a shoulder injury thing going on that's definitely thrown a wrinkle in his free agency. And then it's the two corner outfielders, Santander and Profar, both with their different pluses and minuses. I mean, Anthony Santander, all he's done is hit for 3 seasons. Profar has been steady and just had this breakout year as he turns 32 in February. That I guess in those grouping of 3 hitters, Trev, does anything jump out more than the other?
I'm a huge Ha-Seong Kim fan, so I think that he's kind of been on the forefront of my mind. I had him on going to the Brewers, and I don't know if it was a great fit, but in my mind, he kind of just fits what they like to do on the baseball field. Now, they might not have room for him or whatever, but monetarily and just the way he plays, he seems like a Brewers guy to me. It's interesting. He makes a lot of sense going back to San Diego, but for some reason, I don't have that happening. So there is one team that I've kind of thought about a little bit. A team that was, I don't know, what were they doing last year? And I'm talking about my Atlanta Braves. What were they? They were injured, no doubt about it. They just, them and the Rangers just didn't really come to play ball last year, essentially. I think Ha-Seong Kim, thinking about him and Ozzie Albies up the middle. Now, Orlando Arcia, he was an all-star in 2023, but that was a big first half. He hasn't hit. He didn't hit last year. Defense is good with Arcia, but I think it'll be better with Kim. And I think that they know they'll be in the race when Ha-Seong Kim is back available to come and play for the season. I think that's important. So for some reason, I'm started to like see him in a Braves uniform, and now you start to think about that infield: Olsen, Albies, Ha-Seong Kim, Riley. That's pretty dang good, Jake. So and I do believe he kind of fits their model of how they like to go about things. He doesn't need to be an offensive threat. He does well with what he does offensively. He's going to run the bases, going to give you a good at bat. But they have sticks around. They need good infield defense, a guy that can run, be athletic. I think I don't know. I think it just makes sense to me. But I think he's the type of player that could help pretty much any team with his defensive versatility and all that.
Yeah, that's it. He's in this weird spot where every team can use Ha-Seong Kim. He's a versatile, skilled defender at all the important infield positions while having a league average bat. That is an extremely important player with maybe a little more potential in the bat. I don't know, but teams are worried about the shoulder. And I don't know. I'm just I mean, this guy had a 6-WAR season in 23.
Mm-hmm.
5-WAR the year before that, and then he finishes at 2.5 and that shoulder injury that yeah, I'm interested to see. The Braves have been linked from the start. Like the Red Sox are listed on here, like, and people are like they could use a versatile infielder, and maybe if they miss out on Bregman, that can be part of the answer in Trevor Story insurance a little bit. That it's one of those weird things where the demand is there for every team. Every team can fit this guy in, and he would get 600 at bats. It's just a matter of, is he looking for the price tag of a starting shortstop, which he definitely is, the injury looming. And then, yeah, everyone's like the best fit would be the Padres, but like we said, with their ownership, we don't know if they're going to sign anyone. And that kind of ties into Jurickson Profar, who I think it's the same song and dance. Like his best fit would be returning to San Diego.
Yes.
I think he wants to return to San Diego. He had a career year, your former teammate, people forget.
Yeah.
That is the answer, but they might not sign anyone with what's going on in their ownership group in front office. And Profar, again, I think that's why I want to be a little tighter. There's a lot of copy and paste. Like, do you have a corner outfield spot open? You could use Jurickson Profar, but it's just, if he's asking, the 4-WAR season he had last year is one of the best National League outfielders the whole year, he's probably not getting that price tag.
No.
The Red Sox have been linked to him. I could see Houston being a fit for him. As their corner spots are kind of open, but it's do teams believe in Jurickson Profar from last year? And you should and you shouldn't.
Yeah, it's difficult. Best offensive year comes at age 31. I mean, it's not old, Jake. 31 is not old.
Okay.
But the track record offensively isn't necessarily there. I think that's what's, I know he's versatile-ish, but the reason he was so valuable last year is because he was banging the ball around the yard, dude. So you have to like really believe that skill is going to be there for the next 3 years, and if you bring him in. So I think teams are hesitant about that. Like, hey, was this just kind of his career year, and then maybe he regresses to the mean a little bit. I think a lot of teams are thinking about that. Padres make sense because, well, he's been there. Well, how many years has he been with the Padres? 4 or 5 years with a stop in Colorado in between. They know what he brings to the clubhouse. He fits there, and there are times, we've said this before on the show, like, you build up equity with the team. If you're there and they know what kind of person you are and you fit into the clubhouse, that equity doesn't transfer necessarily to another organization who you haven't played for. They might ask around about you, but the Padres know what they have with him. Makes sense for him to return. I don't really have another landing spot for him necessarily if it's not the Padres. Do you have something in mind, like, where
So
he makes sense?
so I can I'll double segue again because him and Santander are connected in a way. Corner outfield guys. I think Santander obviously has more juice that if you're looking for a DH, I think he could be a fit for you. Like the Blue Jays have been listed for a lot of these teams because again, they're trying to show out to Vladdy in what could be potentially his final year in the Bichette bounce back that I think a switch hitting corner outfielder, which both these guys are. I think Houston would be in on these guys. Now, supposedly they don't want to go over the luxury tax line. But my God, I think either of these guys would be huge for them. Boston, I'm trying to see if anyone else really stands out. Could the Mets be in on another outfielder? I could see that I don't know. For me, I think Santander, I feel like this is going to work out for him. He had 44 home runs last year that I think whether it's the Giants or these teams that keep coming up, that if you have the chance to bring in one of these guys for probably not the craziest price tag, I think you press that button. And yeah, for Profar, I think Profar's in a tough spot. I think San Diego's a team, and they're going through a lot of other stuff right now. I think Santander's going to have a few options. It's just which one clears it for the right price, and let's go get it this year.
Contrary to like other free agents, I think these guys, specifically Santander and Profar, need to go after the largest dollar amount. I mean, look, I just said 31's not old in baseball.
Right.
There's only so many more contracts you're going to get after that. You're coming off your career years. Santander's put together like 3 good offensive seasons in a row. Like it's time to capitalize and make your money. So I don't think these guys are like, hey, I want to go to number one. I want to go to a contender. I don't think that. I think number one, I want the most guaranteed money for both these guys. So if Profar's not going to get that in San Diego, I think he takes it wherever he can get it. I think both these guys are kind of in that position now where it's, where can I get the largest guarantee? I don't think either of these guys wants to take a 1-year bridge year, a bridge contract.
No.
Like, hey, let's do that. I don't think they want to do that. I think this is the time for them to really just tap in and say, where's my most guaranteed money?
Yeah. I can't get over Houston, just how they have an outfield spot open. They could really use a switch hitter / lefty in that lineup. That one keeps coming up for me. And then I guess it also deserves to be said, like, the Angels reportedly are in on Pete. I know there's been a lot of Angels jokes throughout the years, but like that's LA. They can go out and get someone. The San Francisco Giants.
Don't say it.
Pittsburgh's supposed to bring in hitting. Seattle needs hitting so bad, Trev.
I think Pittsburgh's going to be one of those teams that throughout the year we're just going to be so mad at.
I already am.
Yeah, we are. There's residual madness from last year, 100%. But when we see a full year of Paul Skeens and we're like, okay, hey, this is the second year of Paul Skeens you're wasting. Tick, tick, tick. Like, okay, let's get off of that. I can't even start to think about that.
Pittsburgh currently has Spencer Horwitz at first base, McCutchen at DH.
Love me some Pittsburgh.
We love that. Josh Palacios in right field. We love the Palacios brothers. Yeah, I could find a spot for any of the guys we just named in their lineup.
So we did, the Blue Jays are in the running for Santander, and Chris Rose asked me, does that make sense? And my answer to that is no, because unless it's a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal or something like that, like you are not re-signing. It seems like you're not re-signing Bo or Vladdy. So after that, if you were to sign Santander to a long-term deal, it just doesn't make sense, right? Like their window is this year. If it is this year, because maybe who say they don't trade those guys halfway through the year?
Right.
A lot of people are linking them together. I don't think it makes sense unless it's like one of those bridge contracts.
Hey, maybe Profar, maybe like a 1-year Teoscar type deal where Profar gets paid a number Profar wasn't sure he'd ever get paid. And like you're saying with the Blue Jays, there's a little less risk there. I don't know, man. They are in such an odd place because, okay, you got Springer, Bichette, and Vladdy. You need to support that for a year. You brought in Jimenez, which I like as a defensive move for them and down in the lineup, but they need to do something else that I think they're going to get involved. And we just saw them sign Jeff Hoffman, which at this point in the episode, we might have to circle back on Hoffman and maybe the pitchers a little more just in the midweek because the pitchers, I feel like, Trev, we're going to end up saying stuff that makes us feel lame. Like we're going to be like, every team needs pitching, Yeah. Max Scherzer gets to pick where he goes. Although there are fun convos with our guy, Jack Flaherty, your guy, Pivetta, and then the relievers, like we're going to be saying the same thing. Every team.
Tanner Scott, please. I mean, come on, guys. Have you seen the guy pitch? Go sign this guy.
That's
I mean, I agree with you. Those are kind of interesting or they're not that interesting of conversations. You're talking about the only thing I would say with all the starters is, Jack does not have a qualifying offer attached to him.
Right.
So I'm shocked that he hasn't signed with a team yet. I know what he's looking for. Kind of. I've talked to him a little bit about it. I'm shocked he's not signed.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. That's all I'll say.
I mean, after what he did last year, he deserves a bag. And hey, again, maybe this is where we land it. Maybe it's after Roki. Like maybe there's 4 teams that think they have Roki coming in. And then when those teams are disappointed, hey, we need another arm. Where's Flaherty's price? Where's Scherzer? Where's Pivetta at? Yeah.
Pivetta to the Rays scares me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone
to scare you.
Anyone to the Rays scares me. Yeah.
To scare
I've
you.
seen it. Eflin, like whoever goes there. Eflin. And then Tanner Scott, Estevez, Yates. We're gonna have a few more. I want to circle back on the pitching and Jeff Hoffman because it's really interesting what happened between him and the Orioles and how are the Blue Jays adding. And it's cool. He signed there. But we're in pretty deep. So, hey, I think let's circle back Wednesday. Maybe we have Roki news. Maybe we don't. If not, we'll hit you with some pitching and whatever else the baseball gods give us, Coach. Be safe out there.
Big sucks.
Rams big tonight?
I like them tonight. Sorry, my Minnesota peeps. Once Canada becomes our 51st state, are the Blue Jays happy about that? I think they are.
Will the taxes change?
Yeah.
Move the Rays to Greenland? Weren't you saying that before?
Just take the dome, put it in Greenland.
Easy trips